Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And today's video, it comes to us after a weird couple of days. Because of that result at the weekend, I'm sure we're all sitting back feeling the exact same thing. Scunnered beyond belief, but yet we're still having the exact same conversations, whether it's been with your friends, your family, with the nation down there in the comment section below. That game at the weekend was probably the best attacking football we've played all year, but all we got was 1 point at the end of it. Yet we can go up to Dundee and play as badly as we did and get battered for Dundee, but come away with all 3 points. Football is very, very cruel sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, and it's very frustrating. But now it's time to take all that frustration, all that anger, and try to channel it properly by coming ahead and looking in what is a massive European game that isn't just because of the European lights and everything like that. No. This game is massive because it's a must-win frickin' game. That's right, people, just 3 games in to a European group stage, it has became must frickin' win, and that is because of the results have been so poor in European football, and that's something I'm not used to saying, by the way, when speaking about Steven Gerrard's Rangers team in Europe, but still, it has been so awful. So this game genuinely couldn't be any frickin' bigger. It's basically a knockout game, so without any further ado, let's just get into this bad boy and speak about everything that needs to be broken down, starting off first with the old oppositional preview, and let's have a look at this Danish side Brondby, who currently find themselves sitting 6th in the old Danish league. That's right, you heard what I just said there. Didn't go ahead and rewind, didn't adjust the sound on YouTube. We are actually coming up against a team who is struggling right now for the first time in a long time, because usually it's always the team that's first or second or at least challenging near the top of the table, or who are on a fantastic undefeated run or a fantastic winning run. Well, that stops right here, ladies and gentlemen, because Brondby cannot get out their own way right now, as they've only won 3 of their opening 12 league matches and already find themselves 13 points behind league leaders Midtjylland, who again we've got some experience with. But it does need to be said that they've only lost 3 games so far in Danish football this season, so it's not as if they're getting battered and really playing poorly or anything like that. No. In fact, their biggest issue so far this season has been silly draws in games of football that they've done enough to actually win in. That sounds painfully familiar. Anyway, pulling our attention away from the domestic side of things, let's go ahead and narrow in and focus in on the Europa League then, shall we, in European football so far for Brondby, because again, coming into match day 3 of the Europa League, they sit in 3rd, 1 point above us, and they got that 1 point on the opening day thanks to a 0-0 draw with Sparta, and what was a solid home performance for Brondby. No much given either way. They sometimes rode the luck with the chances that was created, but still, they gave as good as they got. However, the same cannot be said for match day 2 for old Brondby, as they went ahead and played Lyon over in France, and the scoreline shows 3-0 with 3 second half goals from Lyon. So if you're having a wee scroll, a wee casual, let me check on the opposition, and you just look at that on paper, you might think, alright, maybe that was a really tight game and Lyon's over quality and the overabundance of superstars maybe eventually overcame a stubborn Brondby side. No, troops, that isn't what happened at all. That game of football maybe said 3-0, but that was a 3-0 game going on 6 or 7. Lyon absolutely pumped Brondby from pillar to post. They smacked the post a couple of times. They forced the goalie into some incredible saves, and full credit to him for that. And also some poor finishing uncharacteristically by Lyon. Really stopped this for being a cricket score. I mean, the only thing Brondby left from that stadium and that game of football after match day 2 was 0 shots on target, 28% of the ball, and I say arse. Honestly, it was a pumping. Which, I'll be honest with you, was absolutely fantastic for me, and it gave me some encouragement. However, the word encouragement there does need to be pulled back from a positive perspective for Brondby, because coming into this game of football, they just had a fantastic comeback win that's got them absolutely singing and dancing, and they're saying that this is when their season now starts, because they were down 2-1 in the 80th minute. They ended up scoring 2 late goals, and the reaction and the celebrations and everything. They are now feeling very, very good, which could be very, very dangerous as they start to try and find a wee bit of confidence and have a bounce from the actual weekend, especially when they know exactly what's at stake coming into this away performance at Ibrox. Because pulling back to what I said at the intro, and I probably said in the old title, this game right here is a must-win game for Rangers. It's not a must-win game for Brondby. No, a draw does them very, very nicely coming in to this game tomorrow, and it sets up the game for them at home to sort of control where both fates for these teams absolutely lie. And you know, son, the way that they set up and the way that they play is absolutely perfect to try and get a draw tomorrow, because they normally line up in a 5-4-1, people. That's right, no an expansive 4-2-3-1 that's built on playing the ball for the back and hitting wingers or anything like that. Nah, troops. This is a 5-4-1. Everybody back, apart from the left mid and right mid, who do not really track back. And so that's something I've noticed quite evidently when watching the teams or anything like that. They just kind of sit up there almost in a line with the striker, and that's usually the only people that goes forward for Brondby. The rest come in, they make it very, very difficult, they make it very, very physical. They're fine, no touching the ball, they will allow team to pass it and look pretty passing sideways or anything like that, but when you get near that box, that is when they sting and try to get on the ball, and that's when they come ahead and try to catch for a counter. So again, if they are going to come in for a draw, which I'm pretty sure they will be looking today, their 5-4-1 formation will be exactly what they need. However, does have a couple of flaws in it as well, because we talked about the left mid and right mid not really coming back and helping the old fullbacks. We'll go ahead and look at any goal Brondby's pretty much conceded this season. It's coming from that wide areas, because the fullbacks have been struggling. They're not getting much help again for the midfield, and it's usually whipping balls in or beating a defender and driving into the box that's causing this team issues, and fingers crossed that continues tomorrow, because if you look at it on paper, ladies and gentlemen, this game couldn't be any more suited to Rangers, because what do we love today? Almost to a nauseating style. Pass the ball out wide and cross it. That's their weakness. Surely we're going to score goals here. But with my probable jinx that I've just said right there, that's all really good to say about this Brondby side. They are a side that's capable of very good results. They had some close ones, by the way, in the Champions League qualifiers. They were a little bit unlucky in a couple of games, but they then went on that horrible run. But they've just shown signs over the last couple of weeks that they're starting to find their feet and they're starting to pick up wins. The only time they've been really, truly outplayed was obviously that hammering of Leon. Hopefully I'm sitting here saying a hammering tomorrow versus them. Again, that would be absolutely delicious. But 5-4-1, very physical, very, very defensive. It should be a classic grey hair turner from their perspective. And I think with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough talking about the opposition. Let's get to the Rangers side of today's video, because there is a lot to actually break down and discuss. There is a lot of hot takes that we need to discuss, and there is a lot of debate about striking positions, etc, that we will have in today's video. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because again, we'll all be still miffed about the weekend at the fact that we didn't win that game. But whether you're a half full or a half empty type of guy, I think there is one thing that we can all agree on about that weekend's performances. We created enough chances to win not one game, not two games, but genuinely 3. Yet we didn't, despite our massive chances that we created, because of truly awful finishing. And unfortunately, the biggest culprit who missed the biggest and easiest chances was Alfredo Morelos, who on that day couldn't score in a brothel. And that's kind of been the running theme so far, and there is a lot of conversation about Alfredo Morelos, who again has only scored 5 goals in the 15 matches that he's actually played this season, and that's brought a lot of people to say how bad the forwards have been for Rangers so far this season, and digging out this player and digging out this player and digging out this player, which I do understand to a certain degree, but still I think it is a little bit harsh on Kemar Roofe, because if you look at Kemar Roofe's season so far, right, he has 6 goals in 12 games from right wing, by the way, but where it gets even more impressive is he's been a substitute in 5 of those 12 games he's actually played. When he's on the park, he's usually found in the back of the net and having a quietly decent start to the season. We're just not putting him in the right positions long enough, and he's not been started in enough games to really add to that decent tally. So I did want to mention that, because to me, a lot of the abuse that Kemar Roofe's been getting has been a little bit unwarranted. Again, I wouldn't be blaming him for hitting the post with his one chance. I'd maybe look at the guy who missed the 3 open goals, ladies and gentlemen. That's probably where I'd go, but still, am I sitting here saying that Morelos needs to be dropped because there is a wee bit of campaign with this going on in? No. Ladies and gentlemen, that isn't where I am, because if we are to get this must-win game, and if we are to really start getting into the groove and find what we can actually be, we will need an Alfredo Morelos. Look at the European success we've had under Steven Gerrard. It's been built, the majority of him, spearheading the actual attacks, bringing people into play and scoring that goal when we actually need it. So I'm not giving up on Alfredo Morelos. Yes, he's not playing particularly well in front of goal right now, but he usually has these spells, and when it does flick and when one hits off him and ends up hitting to the back of net, you know what he's like. He then scores for the next 5-6 weeks, blah 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 blah. I'm hoping tomorrow will be the start of that run, especially as he's sitting on 99 goals. I didn't want this to become a thing, ladies. I didn't want to see a Twitter account as Morelos scored his 100th goal yet. No, I didn't want to see that. I want to see it tomorrow. And maybe I'm being daft by saying that Morelos shouldn't be dropped, but I'm looking at the team that we're going to be playing, a 5-4-1 troops with a lot of people in and around the play. We're going to need Alfredo Morelos, his ability to play with his back towards goal, holding up, winning free kicks and bringing others into play. And we will need Kemar Roof's intelligence and his ability to drift inside and pick up those little pockets of space. I think if we are going to get back to winning ways, we're going to need both of them on the park. No arguments at who should be starting there, one or the other. No, we need both, because if you look at last season, when we were at our best is when they were playing week in and week out and started to really get in a rhythm. They've not quite had that just yet. Again, the weekend was kind of scuppered because Marouf's flight for Jamaica, but I think we will see them starting, and I think that is the best place to actually go. I wouldn't be dropping Morelos despite the weekend. You know it's going to turn at some point, and again, I'm just hopeful it's actually tomorrow. And I think if we do go ahead and start with Alfredo Morelos and Roof and possibly Hadji on the left-hand side, again, that is where I'd go. That would give us the option in the second half to really bring on the pace of Sakala and Scott Wright. I know everybody loves Scott Wright, but for me, he's an impact player. He drifts in and out of games. He can come in and look good for 20 minutes, then you didn't see him till he's subbed off. I would actually use his pace in that burst in the second half, because again, they are very, very weak down the sides, and you're bringing on Scott Wright and Sakala 65-70 minutes to run at already struggling fullbacks, but fullbacks who are now pretty tired and blown out of their arse. That, for me, could bring in some late goals, and that would be joyous, especially for these grey hairs. So that's where I sit with who needs to be dropped and who needs to be playing, etc. But with the Rangers conversation now done, let's go ahead and transition into the latest team news then, shall we? And that of course means we have to start off with Ryan Kent. I mentioned him about a minute ago, and it's really gutting that this man isn't making this game. I really, really wanted him to make this game, but Steven Gerrard has confirmed it's came just a little bit too early, but he should be in line for a return at the weekend versus St Mirren, so at least that's a little bit of good news. We also got a little bit of good news about Ryan Jack, because we finally have a return date, kinda, in or just after the Aberdeen game. That is when you'll see Mr. Ryan Jack once again. Now we do have one bit of bad news, and of course it isn't a new injury or anything like that, so don't panic or anything like that, but we do have obviously the bad news, and that's confirming that Glenn Kamara's of course suspended. I think a lot of people have forgot about this, because I've seen a couple of teams tweeted to me and everything like that. They all have Kamara there. He's actually suspended because of those two BS yellow cards he got in match day 2 in Europa League, so that leaves a little bit of hole in the midfield and that as well, so it's going to be interesting the decisions that are made in that bad boy. You might even see Hadji be played in that role, maybe have Lundstrom or anything like that. It's just kind of the holding role. You don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but I do think Glenn Kamara, despite his frustrations and unwillingness to shoot, will be a miss in terms of getting us up the park and just having that presence. So I think Lunny is going to be in for a very, very big game tomorrow. But I can officially end with some good news, and the good news is that there's been no fresh injuries or anything like that. Troops, lift it. Go ahead and get up and celebrate in the comment section below. Finally, and The Rock says finally, there's no been a fresh injury. Everyone else is good to go besides Jack Simpson, obviously, and Jermaine Defoe, who aren't registered for the European competition. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's reached the end of today's video. That's been the oppositional preview. That's been the Rangers conversation, and that has, of course, been the latest Rangers team news. Now, all that's left for us today is try to predict. And you know what? I've been kind of gone 2-1 in that lately, and I've been a wee bit cautious, but I just think, and I've looked a lot into Brondby, like I've watched them at a lot, Troops, and it's not all been fantastic viewing as well. They do have some really good players in the middle of the park, and they will be dangerous. Not as if they're a bad team or anything like that, but the way that they play and their biggest weakness so far in terms of the way they concede their goals seems to fit us when we are at our best. I'm actually going to go with a couple of goals scored in this match, and I'm going to go all out. I'm going to go with Rangers 3, Brondby 0. Was I going to say 3-1 there, but I backed out last second? You're damn right, Troops. So it's probably going to finish 3-1 now that I picked 3-0. But anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions of the game. What about you? Let me know down there in the old comment section below. I know there was a little bit of a conversation with Connor Golton and his contract situation, but it was kind of the bog standard almost pre-prepared statement that you hear every time whenever a player gets asked about his contract. When it does become something, we'll go ahead and discuss it on the channel. But aye, ladies and gentlemen, we need a big performance. We need a win. Are we going to get it? Let me know down there in the comment section below. Until next time, I've been TJ over into that has been He's actually over this side. That has been Rocky Boy Johnson. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow after the game. All the best and bye bye.